My name is August Joensalo, and I am the director of the film called Space is Quite a Lot of Things. For me, Space is Quite a Lot of Things is really a portrayal or try to portray a trans-utopia that I've been dreaming of myself and talking about with my friends, and create this space for trans people to share about their feelings, especially about their feelings related to their own gender, and give them space to imagine kind of a different language to talk about these things. I started making this film in the middle of the pandemic, actually. Initially, I had planned a completely other film that was going to be a fiction film, and I was to fly to Finland from Sweden to film this film. And then it turned out that I couldn't do it and I had to cancel everything. It wasn't safe in the middle of the pandemic. So I had to come up with a completely new thing on the spot. It felt quite obvious to just make this film with my friends. Because I live in this, back then I lived in this collective in the middle of the woods with my friends. So it was quite easy to kind of just stay there, not go out, have a quarantine still and make this film with my friends. And it's something that I probably wouldn't have thought of without the circumstances. And I'm very happy that they drove me to really look at the way that I'm making films, because I only made fiction before, and it forced me to come up with some new methods of filmmaking and dig into this way of documentary filmmaking, that I create a world with the community that I also belong to. A very important thing for me when making this film was that I would be able to create this kind of intimate and personal space where everybody would feel safe to share their things. And it's something that many filmmakers talk about, but there aren't that many known methods of actually doing it. And I found it very easy to do with my friends, because it wasn't new for them that I would point a camera at them at first. So if I meet a new person and immediately point a camera at them, even after like some hours of chatting, it wouldn't create a similar kind of feeling and presence of the relationship between the person being filmed and the person filming. A big part of the intimacy for me is that we've discussed about all these things before with these people, that we know each other, and then the film just works as kind of a launch point to dig deeper into the subjects. And yeah, really it is just this play that we are in, giving the camera to a friend and turn it to me. I think it's part of the play that also makes me vulnerable, so that they always have a veto possibility of the material. So I show the material to them, or the rough cut at some point, and then we go through together, or how they feel about being portrayed in the way that I portrayed them. And I feel that that's very important when you really are, as a filmmaker, trying to portray how trans people want to be seen. And I can't always know that, even if I try my best and I listen to them. So I do need to involve the people also in the process of looking through the material, and then being able to dictate whether they feel seen in the way they would like to or not. When making this film, I hadn't planned that it would be so visual and so metaphorical as it is. I started with the curiosity, and like you see in the film, I didn't really have any words or ideas of what my gender identity is like. So I didn't imagine that the people that I would talk to would come up with these fire burning inside them, or that they're like a jellyfish. I just knew that they're brilliant people who are very good at. But it's really interesting what happens when you give people like this space to describe their gender in a different way than just saying, oh, my name is this, please refer to me with these pronouns, because that's the thing that we have to do in our everyday lives, and there isn't really space for anything else, because that's just a necessary thing to try to force people to do, to not be violated, you know. I personally don't think there's any other way to think about utopias than completely abandon the way that we're living in this society and go somewhere else. So my utopia would be completely in the ruins of capitalism, some queer village somewhere producing our own food and taking care of ourselves. But we need to imagine further than doing these small steps of having a non-binary gender marker. But we need to dream big and at least try to be as ambitious as possible. In the history of filmmaking, not that many instances where marginalized people get to tell their own story. So I guess that's the political situation in regards of representation that we are at now, that we're finally getting the space that we need and the funding that we need, at least a little bit, to start telling the stories about ourselves, which obviously leads to much better representation than cis het men trying to white cis het men trying to tell everybody else's stories, because it's impossible to imagine somebody else's struggle, and it often leads to using the struggle of the identity as the main conflict of the film, which is so boring. I'm so tired of seeing these films about trans people having a difficult time, because that's not what our life is about, actually. It of course it's one part, but it's just overrepresented in the media and arts, and especially film. And it's, especially trans women are so fetishized in filmmaking by gay men for reasons I don't understand. Yeah, we're still mostly tropes. So that's something that I want to work against in my filmmaking, that I make space for euphoria instead of dysphoria. And I understand that that's just one example of how to frame it. And I understand that both are necessary, but because of the balance has been so crooked before, maybe we need more of the utopia imagining right now than talking about struggles.